Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Not Your Mama's Murder in the Headlines, the podcast where each week we talk about true crime stories that rock the headlines this week. I'm Elisa Bird Hill, and today we're actually going to be talking about the state of the podcast before we get into anything else. First of all, happy Tuesday. For you guys, I've only been gone a week, but for me, it's actually been 3 whole weeks since I sat down and recorded not all, but the last 3 of the Peterson cases were recorded ahead of time so that I could go on vacation with my family. We did. We had a wonderful time. We got to see all of our aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents and do a lot of fun things and make memories, and I got to check the Mall of America off my bucket list. So that was very fun and very exhausting, but I have missed sitting down and talking to you guys. It has been even longer since I have done an In the Headlines episode, and then I also impromptu took this past Friday off. I had previously said that I was going to do a July 4th themed episode, and after coming back from the trip and then immediately going into July 4th, and we hosted the July 4th festivities for our family, I honestly just spread myself too thin, and it was not in the books to get the podcast episode recorded and out in time. I am so sorry for that, but I always try to be completely transparent with you guys, and that's just what happened. So I have that case banked, and we'll just save it for next year on the 4th of July. Hopefully the podcast is even bigger and better by then anyways, and so that is what happened with that episode. Now, like I just said, I like to be completely transparent with you. So part of that for me is making sure that you know my priority is always going to be doing what works and what you guys like. And we're about 4 months in to the podcast at this point, and the In the Headlines episodes just don't do as well as the long form case deep dives. You guys are just not as into it, and I get that. They kind of bounce around from place to place, and they're very just like surface level, and we never know if or when we'll get a closing. And so for that reason, I have decided to move the type of In the Headlines episodes you were used to once a month. Now, that'll be when we talk about, in the past, we have talked about just like random things, like a shooting at a gas station or this kidnapping that happened, things like that. What I'm going to try and transform In the Headlines into and kind of mold it into is the bigger things. Like, for example, Alec Murdaugh. He's been in the news a lot, so updates in that case, especially since it's one we've covered. The Gilgo Beach, that case, like updating cases that, being in the true crime space, you're probably already familiar with. The victim that was linked to Ted Bundy all these years later, that would be something that I would still cover. Bigger topics like that, that's going to ring a bell and you're going to be familiar with, and is going to continue to build a story rather than just these one-off things that maybe we'll never hear about again. If you don't like that, reach out to me, let me know. Another part, the reason why I'm choosing to do it once a month rather than once a week is because that was another version of me spreading myself too thin. When I first decided on the idea for this podcast, I had a lot of ideas, and I struggled to break them down and make them one concept. So I learned that doing In the Headlines, obviously I have to wait till the end of the day to get headlines from that entire day, and then I have to do my research and then source check and fact check those sources. So it became a long process, and a lot of times I wasn't getting to do it until night after the kids were in bed, and then I was getting in bed late and not wanting to get up the next morning. And I absolutely know that this is no one's problem but my own. I created it for myself. But again, I am being transparent for you guys and letting you know I'm learning as I go too. I am figuring out what works and what doesn't for you guys and for myself and for my family. And I'm sorry, I love this podcast. It is my passion project, but being a mother will always and forever come first before literally anything else. So I never want to take time away from my family or make myself too tired to be fully able to be there for my children because of the podcast. So I think for that reason and the fact that those episodes just don't seem to be doing as well or drawing as much interest, moving it to once a month, and it'll be, so right now they come out on Tuesdays. It'll just be the first Tuesday of each month. And that is my plan for that. And like I said, it will be broader topics. We're going to go right into one when I am done with all the housekeeping things that I wanted to talk about. As far as weekly engagement, because other than the regular case deep dives that I do on Friday mornings are going to stay the same. You guys engage with those really well. You seem to enjoy them. I have people messaging me requesting cases. Please keep doing that. I have an ongoing list. I will add to it. Eventually, we will get to your case. That is going to stay the same. And then I do still want to provide something weekly beyond that episode for you. So I think what I'm going to do, and do not hold me to this is, again, I'm playing around. I'm seeing what works. I want to do like a headline of the week. And it doesn't have to be so serious, maybe. I'm thinking like an outrageous headline. One that keeps coming to my mind, I don't know if you guys remember, a few years ago, there was the man who robbed the banks in Kansas City dressed as a wolf. And then I'm pretty sure he got caught because he went to a Kansas City Chiefs game dressed in the same costume. I'm talking about a silly headline like that. Now, this idea is fresh and new and is a way for me to just stay engaged with you guys weekly. So I'm unsure if it will be a podcast episode or just a social media post. I'm not sure. It's an idea that I am playing around with. And I probably should keep my mouth shut until things are set in stone. But I like to let you guys know what's going on in my creative brain. Along with that is I have started working on a limited series. And for those of you who don't know, that is when it is just a certain amount of episodes that tell the same story. A lot of podcasts follow that outline. They don't tell different stories every episode like I do. They tell one story and it'll be 8, 10, 20 episodes. Serial is the first big podcast that did that with the Adnan Syed case. So I am working on one of those. I cannot give too many details at this moment, but it is an investigatory series. It involves reaching out to people, getting first-hand accounts, and things like that. So I'm not promising that's going to be anytime soon. I am working on it. And like I said, I should probably stay quiet until these things are set in stone, but I get so excited that I want to share with you guys. So, my hope moving forward is that you'll have your weekly Friday episode. You will have your weekly headline of the week engagement, either here or on social media. Eventually, we will have a limited series, and when I do that, those will drop on Thursdays. The weekly headline will be on Monday, and then on the first Tuesday of every month is when you will have your In the Headlines. So on the first week of every month when you have In the Headlines, and then once we get the limited series started, you could very well end up with 4 episodes of listening to me that week, which is a lot. But that's what I have going on right now. I am very excited. We are not quite to 6 months in the podcast, and I'm loving it just as much as I thought I would. I hope you guys are too. I love seeing all the messages and engagement on social media. It makes me very happy. Please make sure that you are also putting that in the ratings and reviews. I know I say that a lot and I hate self-promotion, but it really, really, really matters. And the more reviews and ratings pushes the algorithm out so that other people can enjoy it and listen. Screenshot, share with your friends, whatever gets the word out. I appreciate all of you so much who have been supportive and are here and continue to encourage me. One other note I have, speaking of people who are super encouraging, starting in October, I planned to start having guests. I have October, November, and December guests lined up already. I hope that goes over really well with you guys. I love that a couple people have reached out and asked to come on. That makes me very happy, and I can't wait to get to that portion of the podcast. I didn't want to do it right away. I wanted to be a little more established just being alone first before I got there, but October for sure, November for sure, and December for sure, we will have our first guest episodes. So that is exciting. Now, I will quit talking, and we are going to get into June 1st to July 1st headlines, because this is the first episode of In the Headlines that will be monthly. So, surprise to no one, Alec Murdaugh will be retried for the murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh. He has a new judge this time, and that judge claims to know nothing about the first trial. So she, I'm pretty sure it was a woman, made sure to tell both sides to be very thorough and explain everything, even if it's already been talked about, because she wants to know what's going on. Murdaugh's team did ask for the trial to be moved to a different county and that he be able to wear civilian clothes rather than his orange prison jumpsuit and shackles. The judge has not made a decision on that yet. I don't have too much to say about this one because inevitably it will get political, and although I am political, it's not, my podcast is not a place for that. I absolutely respect everyone's political, religious beliefs. That is your choice. So, with that being said, I'm keeping this short and sweet. Preliminary hearings for the alleged murder of Charlie Kirk began in June, and now that we are into July, the actual trial has started. A case that we have previously mentioned is one where a murder occurred at a high school track meet when rival teams were in the same tent during a rain delay. We do have a verdict in that one. Carmelo Anthony was sentenced to 35 years in prison after being found guilty of that murder. He is the one that originally pulled the knife and unfortunately stabbed the kid, causing him to lose his life. One that everybody is probably familiar with, the stepbrother that is accused of murdering his stepsister on the cruise ship. This happened in November in 2025. The sister, Anna Kepner, was 18 years old. She was on the Carnival Horizon and was found dead. It is alleged that her stepbrother, who is 16, his name is Timothy Hudson, sexually assaulted her and then manually strangled her using a chokehold. Following everything that happened, he was originally told that he would be able to stay out of jail while he awaited trial and discovery happened and everything. But following that, he was actually ordered to be held in custody. That ruling, a federal magistrate, sorry, my mind went blank trying to think of the word, reversed the ruling and ordered that the U.S. Marshals take him back into custody to await trial. Also, just a side note, he was tried as an adult even though he is 16. So that is a case we will keep an eye on, and I'm sure I will be covering in the future when it is all wrapped up. Federal murder case against Luigi Manganoni. You guys know who I'm talking about. Luigi, the one who is accused of killing the health care insurance executive. His trial has been postponed to 2027. Oh, sorry, I bumped the mic. A former NFL player, Blaze Taylor, he was found guilty of murdering his pregnant girlfriend by use of cocaine, which is not something I have really heard of, to be completely honest with you. He ingested her, caused her to ingest cocaine, overdosing and killing her, which is very sad. A case that, if you are involved in true crime at all, I am sure you have heard about this one, but authorities rescued 16 children from what officials described as horrific living conditions in Ohio. This led to the arrest of the suspected parents of those children, as well as the paternal grandparents. Those charges range from neglect, abuse, child endangerment, all of those things. Now, there's a lot of media speculation surrounding this case, and I personally don't like to speculate on anything. A lot of people are questioning, are the parents really the parents, or was there some other incestual thing going on? Could some of the older children actually be mothers of the younger children, given how close some of the birthdays are? It's borderline gross to me to speculate on children being sexually abused. We know that they were abused in other ways, but unfortunately, we can't speak on if they were sexually abused at this time. I think it is a very sad and unfortunate situation. I think that, in my personal opinion, and this is speculation, but I think a lot of people would agree with me, that the mom, based on her age alone, is also, or was also at one point, a victim. Now, two things can be true. She could have been a victim and is now also part of the abuse. Even though she was forced to be impregnated at a young age, she still did nothing to help her children and kept having children knowing that they weren't being properly cared for. So it's a very difficult situation, but I do personally look at her as a victim as well. Again, I don't want to speculate on anything when it comes to the children. I hope that wherever they are seriously getting the help and counseling and medical attention that they deserve and are going to need for a long time. And I'm assuming they're going to be put into the foster care system, and I hope that that system does not make things worse, as it so often does, unfortunately. Something that I don't usually cover often is animal crimes, but this one really stuck out to me. A California no-kill shelter was under investigation after remains of 117 dogs were found on property. Many of them had apparent gunshot wound, and it appeared they had been killed. Apparently, this is a big deal over in California. I have not seen any news about it here in Tennessee, but the outrage that I saw on social media and news platforms that originate in California were something. 117 dogs is a lot. It reminds me of the funeral parlor that was just hoarding bodies. But for them to claim to be a no-kill shelter and then to have that many dogs is very sad, and it makes you wonder how long it had been going on. This one is one that there was not a lot of information about, and I can figure out why, but law enforcement in New Jersey actually found dozens of homemade explosive devices and a makeshift laboratory at a residence. So multiple people have been charged, and the investigation is ongoing. We are unsure if there was a plan, what was being done in the laboratory, but hopefully more information about that one will come to light. Now, one, I don't like to use the term excited, but completely honest, that is what I felt when I read this headline. The Black Dahlia case has new forensic evidence, which is an insane statement. I can't believe that actually just came out of my mouth. But researchers behind a documentary project announced that they had located what they believe could have been the original crime scene in the Black Dahlia murder case. It has been submitted to evidence and for DNA testing. It's unverified, of course. Could be completely wrong. It could be a crime scene that's not related to Black Dahlia. Who knows? But Black Dahlia is a huge case. It's very infamous. If you don't know, it is an unsolved, essentially, 1947 murder of Elizabeth Short. She was 22 years old and she was trying to become an actress. Her body was absolutely mutilated and she was found drained of her blood in an empty lot in Los Angeles. The pictures creep people out. Those pictures are part of what I saw at the Museum of Death. They're actually, in my opinion, not that bad. Like, I've seen worse. However, I'm kind of desensitized to the whole thing, so I think any typical person looking at it would be very, very grossed out. There are very many books and other, like, there's Lifetime movies and things like that based on the Black Dahlia. So to think that we may have answers to her killer in my lifetime is incredible. And so I will absolutely be keeping my eye on that one. One last one for June. If you're familiar with true crime, you're probably familiar with the Austin yogurt shop murders. It has been back in the spotlight because 4 people who were previously accused of the murder have been exonerated. Now, the reason this happened, actually, let me back up, sorry. The victims, this case happened in 1991. The victims were 4 teenage girls named Amy, Eliza, Jennifer, and Sarah. They were bound, gagged, and shot execution style at the yogurt shop. And then the yogurt shop was set on fire. Towards the end of 2025, DNA evidence identified the true killer as a serial offender by the name of Robert Eugene Brashers, who actually had died in 1999, proving that the 4 people who had been convicted were innocent. The city of Austin experienced a lot of backlash over the wrongful conviction. Eventually, it was ballistics and DNA evidence that did prove they were innocent, and their exoneration was overturned. The city of Austin ended up paying out $35 million for their wrongful conviction. So, although they lost a lot of years, and I feel so sad about that, I am glad their names have been cleared. I'm glad the real killer, though he was already dead, has been named. And I hope those girls' family feel some sort of peace. I do hate that they had to wait this long, but I hope that it goes well for them. That is this month's In the Headlines. Like I said, my DMs are always open for suggestions, case recommendations. If you want to be a guest, please remember to like, subscribe, rate, review, share with friends, all the things. And thank you so much again for making this all possible. I will see you Friday with a new case. Bye!